There we go. Good afternoon. I'd like to call the meeting of the Board of Public Utilities for the City of Santa Rosa to order. If we may have a roll call, please.
Chairman Galvin.
Here.
Vice Chair Cowan. Here. Vice Chair Board Member Arnone.
Here.
Board Member Badford.
Here.
Board Member Dowd.
Here.
Board Member Grable.
Here.
Board Member Watts.
Here.
Any statements of abstention by board members? Hearing none, we have no study sessions today. We have our minutes that will be approved unless anybody has any changes to them. Very good. We'll move over to item number 5, which is a proclamation for Linda Reed, our newly retired Deputy Director of Administration. Come on down, Linda. So normally, we tend to try and do motions and waive the reading of the text, but you don't get that luxury. So I'm happy to read the resolution of the Board of Public Utilities thanking Linda Reed for her contributions to the City of Santa Rosa and the Water Department. Here goes. Whereas Linda Reed was officially hired by the City of Santa Rosa on November 9, 1987 as an accounting technician in the Revenue and Collections Division of the Administrative Services Department, and whereas Linda was promoted to a Utilities Technician position in the Utilities Engineering Division of the then Utilities Department on September 27, 1992, which was the first step in a long and glorious tenure in the department, and whereas Linda steadily moved her way through a series of promotions within the department, including the Civil Engineering Technician Series, Quality Control Associate, and Administrative Services Officer of all things budget and finance within the Utilities Department. And whereas Linda attained the position of Deputy Director, Utilities Administration on May 18, 2014, and added supervision and management of the sub-regional warehouse, outreach, and right-of-way to her already full plate. And whereas Linda became the expert and the, quote, face, unquote, of water and sewer rates, demand fees, and the annual department budget, providing thorough information and thoughtful responses to questions from the Board of Public Utilities, the City Council, and ratepayers. And whereas Linda served as acting director of the now Water Department during the recruitment process for a new director, keeping the department on a steady course while much of the time continuing to perform her regular deputy director duties. And whereas Linda has supported and empowered her Santa Rosa Water Finance team, and they will miss her leadership, guidance, and encouragement. And whereas Linda's historical knowledge of the Water Department and her expertise in everything related to finance and budget will be greatly missed and will leave many staff scratching their heads and debating as to whether or not to call her for assistance. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Public Utilities, city employees, and the dozens of citizens of Santa Rosa want to thank Linda Reed for her nearly 30 years of service. Be it further resolved that the city will miss her thoughtful and thorough style, financial expertise, and her dedication to the Water Department and its staff. Be it further resolved that we wish her the happiest of retirements with the perfect mix of adventure and relaxation. Duly and regularly adopted by the City of Santa Rosa Board of Public Utilities this 5th day of October, 2017. Congratulations on your retirement. As I mentioned at your retirement party, it's been a marathon. You've run a great race, and now you're well-deserved of a wonderful retirement. So we look forward to hearing about your travels and your adventures and your races that you run, and we're going to miss you. Any other board members wish to chime in? Feel free. Sure.
I'm really going to miss having you there. One of the things that I remember distinctly when I started at the BPU was getting appointed to the Budget Committee very early on and realizing how much I didn't know. And what I appreciated about your guidance through that process was that half the time I didn't even know how to formulate the question that was in my mind, and yet you knew where I was going, and so you would answer what I wanted to ask almost more than what I did ask. And it was a great assistance in bringing me up to speed on a lot of very technical material, and you did it with grace and knowledge and very calm manner, and really thank you so much for everything you taught me, and have a great retirement.
Go right ahead.
Linda, I've spent a lot of time with you. I'm so thankful for everything you've taught me, all the time you spent asking all of my questions, even though I probably asked the same thing over and over again. You made your job look easy, and I know it wasn't, and you will truly be missed. I wish you the best in your retirement, and hope that we see you around sometimes. Thank you.
Board Member Watts?
For the last few years, it's been a pleasure to work with you on different projects in the department and seeing you, and then, you know, working on some of the H2O work and being able to formulate that program with you has been something that I'm really proud of. And getting to see you as the interim director for most of my tenure on the board, I feel, you know, sad that I won't be able to see you regularly, but really excited for what you're going to accomplish in your retirement. I'm sure you're going to be just as busy with all of your different travels and apparently races. So please keep us updated on anything that is going on, and don't be a stranger.
Thank you.
The floor is yours.
I just want to say thank you very much, and I also want to say that thank you to the Board of Public Utilities. You know, you're volunteers, you're sitting here of your own free will and time, you're not being paid like we are, you know, to pursue this avocation. And the city charter set this up so that you would delve into the business of water and really lead the way with policymaking. And each one of you spends so much time and so much effort that staff really works hard to prepare what comes before you, because they know that you're going to pay attention and you're going to delve into it. And I really thank you for that. I have appreciated your input and your help throughout my career.
Thank you again. All right. Unfortunately, we have to move on to business. So we have 2 items on the consent calendar.
I'll move the consent calendar.
Second.
Motion by Board Member Arnone, seconded by Vice Chair Cowan to approve items 6.1 and 6.2 on the consent calendar. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Unanimous. Thank you. Item 7.1 is our report item regarding the amendment to the restated agreement. Deputy Director Burke.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chairman Galvin and members of the board. So I'm here to talk to you about a first amendment to our agreement with the South Park County Sanitation District. And I'm going to go over a little bit of information on what the South Park County Sanitation District is, for those that may not be familiar with it. Provide a little bit of background information on the dissolution agreement that's been in place for a number of years and amended over time, over a number of years. And then what the proposed First Amendment is and why we're needing to do this, and then the recommendation from staff. So first, just to give the board a little bit of orientation, the South Park County Sanitation District, or South Park, is purely a collection system that's mostly in the southern and western parts of Santa Rosa in pockets of unincorporated county. It is currently run by the Sonoma County Water Agency, and there is an agreement between the water agency, or the county, the South Park District, and the city of Santa Rosa, in that we do provide operation and maintenance services for this district. It is really a sort of almost like a Swiss cheese district. It is not connected, and it really is interconnected with our collection system, and I'll show you in just a second on the map. It's roughly serving about 4,000 equivalent single-family dwellings, or roughly about 1,400, a little bit over 1,460 acres of service area. So this map, and I apologize, it's a little bit blurry, but you can see those tan, I'd call it tan, areas, and those are pockets that make up the South Park Sanitation District. So you can see these are all unincorporated areas of the county that are, either within or very close to the sort of city boundaries. And so it's a unique situation, and it is a situation that the LAFCO, Sonoma LAFCO, has wanted to be resolved for quite a long time, because it is a little bit weird to have this different agency providing collection services kind of within the city almost. So to that end, there has been a dissolution agreement in place between South Park Sanitation District and the city of Santa Rosa since the mid-90s. The initial agreement was approved in February of 1996. And at the time, it was anticipated that annexation of these county pockets was imminent. As we all know, it's been quite some time since 1996, and we still have all those pockets of county islands. Since the initial agreement in 1996, it has been amended 4 times for a number of different reasons, but mostly related to time extensions and dealing with a cleanup and abatement order from the North Coast Regional Board. And then the last time we went to do an amendment, we really kind of took a step back and looked at it and did a whole new approach. And it resulted in what's called the amended and restated agreement. And that's what is currently in place right now. And that time, it was recognized that sort of the thoughts that we had and the county had in relation to how annexation could occur and how we could go about dissolving the district was not something that LAFCO said we could do. So, as I mentioned, initially it was thought that annexation of those areas was going to happen quite quickly. When it was realized that that was not going to happen, what was recognized was that annexation probably wouldn't happen for quite a while, but we would look to annex the infrastructure. So we would take over the infrastructure, it would be part of the city, and then that's how we would run our complete collection system. And LAFCO said, by law, you can't do that. So we were not allowed to do that, and so it was recognized that the only way that we could take over the collection system would be either to take it over as a district, or to annex the land underneath, and once 70% of that land was annexed, that service area was annexed into the city, then we could then dissolve the district and take over South Park. And as you all probably are well aware, probably just saw in the paper, I think yesterday or today, there has been a big proposed annexation of the Roseland area, because we're calling it the Roseland area annexation, but it contains some other pockets that are within that South Park service area. So with this annexation, approximately half of the South Park County Sanitation District customers, parcels, would be coming over to the city, are going to be coming over to the city of Santa Rosa. They've been annexed through this process. So we started meeting a number of years ago, late 2013, to discuss options for what was going to happen with the annexation. Previously, when properties were annexed over, they just became city customers, city sewer customers. But we knew that with the big amount of customers that were going to be potentially annexed, that it was going to be difficult on the district to maintain some kind of financial viability to keep running. It would be very, very difficult for anyone to lose half their customer base and still be able to provide the services they needed to. We also knew that the sewer rate structures between South Park and the city are very, very different. And it's really almost hard to compare them because they are so different. But doing a analysis, we knew that there were a number of customer classes that could see pretty significant rate increases sort of overnight by switching from being in the South Park District to the city of Santa Rosa. Some would not, some would actually see lower bills, but it's just a very different billing structure. And so we were concerned about that, and we started talking about various ways that we could look at making sure the people that are in the annexation area, the customers in those areas, would have an opportunity to still have sewer services, to have some gradual changes, and that the South Park District could still remain financially viable. So when are we now? A couple months ago, in August of 2017, LAFCO did approve the annexation process and started that whole protest hearing, et cetera. But one of the conditions in that approval was that the city and South Park really needed to address the issues of dissolution and have a path forward to eventually have South Park be dissolved and those services provided by the city. And we needed to do that before the annexation was recorded, and that is scheduled for November 1st. So as I mentioned, we had been meeting for a number of months, really trying to work out things and wanted to do something that made sense on both sides. And so we really identified a handful of issues that were needed to be resolved before the district would transition over and transfer to the city of Santa Rosa. So this amendment that's before the board really provides that time for us to do that transition. It allows us to work with the Sonoma County Water Agency as the sort of operator of the district on looking to change their rate structure. Currently, South Park has what we call a flat or 100% fixed rate. It's a one-time charge. Most recent amount as of July of this year is $935 per year per equivalent single-family dwelling. And then depending on the type of customer you are, you get a number of ESDs assigned to you, and that determines your bill. And it's billed on the tax roll, so it goes through your property tax bill. And we really would like them to do what they can to take steps. We've laid out a plan of 5 years, 5 fiscal years, for them to take steps to move from this 100% fixed to a volumetric billing based on their winter water use, and then also look to have a bigger volumetric piece and a much smaller fixed piece. So that's really trying to mimic the billing structure that Santa Rosa has. Also looking at surcharges and things for commercial customers as well. In terms of the governance, as I mentioned earlier, we have been informed by LAFCO that the district cannot dissolve until 70% of the land area that's underneath the district is annexed into the city. At this point in time, we're not aware of any annexations, future annexations that are planned. So we haven't hit that threshold with this Roseland area annexation. And it could be quite a bit of time before any more parcels or areas are annexed into the city. So it is anticipated that the district will most likely transfer over to the city of Santa Rosa and still need to be a district for a bit of time before it can be dissolved. So with that in mind, we proposed a change in governance because we thought it would be very awkward for City of Santa Rosa to be basically owning and operating the district and then reporting to the Board of Supervisors as the directors of the district. However, we do know that the reason why South Park will still remain is there'll be areas that are in county pockets that basically have no representation by City Council because they're in county pockets. So what we're proposing is that once the rate structure has changed on or about that time, we would also work on a governance change where it would go from currently having the Board of Supervisors as the Board of Directors for the district to having 2 council members and 1 supervisor as the board for the district. There was also quite a bit of discussion related to development services. So one of the big things that we wanted to do was, as we're welcoming all these new folks into the city of Santa Rosa, we didn't really want to say, yeah, you can come to the city and work with our Planning and Economic Development Department for everything but your sewer service piece. We thought that might be a little odd and confusing. We really want to provide good customer service to all of our citizens. And so what we did was really talk through with the water agency to determine what would be the best way to make this happen, so it really didn't feel that these customers were being kind of singled out and forced to go through a different process. So what we decided is that we're proposing that city staff will provide sort of plan check and inspection related services for any of the citizens that are still South Park customers. We'll be providing that until such time as the district transfers over, and then we'll continue to provide that after the district transfers over. And in order to do that, we're indemnifying the South Park District and the water agency because we're actually making the review and approval of the plans. We will also be collecting the connection fees and capacity charges for South Park. However, similarly to the rate structure, their demand fees are quite different as well. So what we've agreed is that we will take in the plans and we will then send them over to the water agency. They will have a 2-week turnaround time to review, calculate what those fees will be, and then let us know, and then we will collect them for them, and then we will then transfer those fees over to the district. And so once the transfer happens, well, currently right now until the transfer happens, South Park will continue to provide development-related services to those areas that are in the county, but South Park customers. Once the transfer occurs, we anticipate that we'll be working out an agreement between now and then with Sonoma County Permit Resource Management District to provide some kind of same relationship where they'll continue to provide for the South Park customers that are in the county until such time as they're annexed in, and then it would go through the city. So that's really the meat of the majority of the changes that are proposed in the amendment that will eventually lead us to possible transfer and eventual dissolution of this district. As I mentioned, the annexation approval required that we get this amendment approved before the annexation was recorded, and that is scheduled to occur on November 1st. And the Board of Supervisors is considering this agreement on Tuesday. And it's the same exact agreement that's in your packet before you. So the recommendation before you today is that Santa Rosa Water recommends that the board recommend that the council approve the First Amendment to the amended and restated agreement regarding South Park. And I'm happy to answer any questions. I also want to thank, there was a number of staff that worked on this, from our water engineering services team to our water billing department to our planning and economic development department to our city attorney's office. So I have a few folks here with me today if you have specific questions I can't answer. And also I think Assistant City Attorney Dillon is willing to answer any questions you might have on the agreement that I can't answer. So again, happy to take any questions.
Board member questions? Board member Dowd, please.
Deputy Director Burke, my question has to do with the slide number 8. You don't really have to go there unless you want to, but it's about the future makeup of the oversight, which is a member of Board of Supervisors and 2 city council members. And what triggers this question is we all know that there's a pending move to district elections. Will there be flexibility in this where the chairman of the board and the mayor of this city would be the appointers of those 3 positions, and if it made more sense, might change it to align with the district elections? So it's a complex question, but I think we need to be sure that that flexibility is available.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and I do believe we have the flexibility. We kind of left it a little open-ended that it'll be we didn't call out specific positions or specific, this district supervisor. So I think there is flexibility to work that out and determine when we started this process, district elections weren't exactly envisioned at that time, and so that's been a change since we started that process, but we still feel like it makes sense to have this sort of makeup so that wherever folks are, the whole point is that they will be able to go to those that they elect. And so that would be the goal, to have whatever sort of represents that area. If it turns out through districting that we need to revisit that because maybe it breaks up into 3, we can always look to amend the agreement and address it that way.
Thank you.
And I don't know. Yeah.
Board Member Grable?
Did you say it's about 4,000 households in terms of the increased deliveries that we're looking at in this process, or?
It's the district itself is roughly 4,000 equivalent single-family dwellings.
Okay.
Whether that's, single-family, commercial, industrial, apartment complexes, that's the number of their customers, roughly 4,000 customers.
4,000 customers, but that
Yes.
includes light industrial?
Yeah,
Okay,
everything that are in those sort of tan blocks.
okay, because I do know, I was looking at that, I was like, I'm pretty sure there's some warehouse complexes and other
Yes.
things, okay.
Sorry, and I should have explained that, I apologize. So it's an equivalent single-family dwelling, so basically they kind of figure out what the demand factor is for a single family, and then that's their rate. And then if you're a commercial business and they determine that you use 10 times what a single family does, you get charged 10 equivalent single family. But they have 4,000 customers made up of all sorts of types, whether it's multifamily, commercial, industrial, et cetera.
Okay, and in the governance structure, this, I'm not sure if it addresses this, but a lot of those properties have sort of grandfathered wells. Are those, in Roseland, for instance, there's a brownfields cleanup program, there's state funding. This, I think, is a little different. What's the path to compliance and or closing down some of those wells, or the alternative, which is with, you get into that weird JPA, GSA thing, or then you're charging the wells and water deliveries. Is that all are all of those things under the governance of the body proposed in that First Amendment?
No.
Okay.
So, great questions. This is just the sewer side. So this is just the collection system. We do serve water for majority, if not, 75% of the areas in this area already. So
Okay.
this is just solely the sewer collection system, and so the water side is completely separate.
Okay.
Yeah, and if they're not served by Santa Rosa Water, then they're on wells.
Okay. And is there going to be a path to compliance for those folks through this, that similarly to what's going on with the Roseland annexation, where you have, kind of the opportunity?
So folks always have the opportunity to join our water system if they choose, yeah.
But this would be what I'm asking is the governance structure, and that would oversee that process, the fees, all of those things would be us and this body?
So this body would only oversee the fees for the sewer side that remain in the South Park District.
Got it.
On the water side, if they're water customers, it would be the city council.
Okay.
If we're talking about groundwater and potential fees that may come out, depending upon what the structure is and how that happens, that would be the Santa Rosa Plain GSA if they're in it, which I think this whole area is incorporated.
Right, okay. I was trying to figure out how all those things relate to one
We
another.
just have so many agencies.
It's true.
Any other board member Banford?
Thank you for your presentation.
Sure.
I have that they're currently on a county flat or fixed billing cycle, approximately $935 a year on their property tax bill. Can you just talk a little bit more about the specifics of, I know a 5-year transition, but what will that look like for residents? Will there be a tremendous cost difference, and if so, how are we managing that?
Sure. So this will be managed by the South Park District because they will still be the district, and the Sonoma County Water Agency will still be sort of the operating agency of the district. So what we've called out in the agreement is that first, they would look to get information and develop an example of sort of the billing structure they're looking to go to. And we want to work closely with them on that. And we will be working closely with them because for those customers that are water customers, we anticipate that we will be not only sharing the data, but we also do anticipate and wrote some language in the agreement that we could provide those billing services for them, and it's likely they will want to contract with us to provide those billing services for them because they don't have the mechanism right now to do monthly billing. So then what we would then want them to do is to begin billing that sort of fixed and volumetric piece on the tax roll. And then sort of make those increases over time, and then look to shift to monthly billing based on usage, and implement the monthly billing. And we do recognize that it's a process that needs to follow Prop 218 procedure, so they will have to go through all the normal processes that we do. They have to now as a sewer collection service provider. So they will be doing their Prop 218 notices, providing information, outreach, holding public hearings. Customer base has the opportunity to protest if they so choose. So all of that will be in place. So it'll be a very public process that will occur. And our hope is to provide any information they need and assistance because we really would like to see these billing structures match as closely as they can within the confines of 218 and within the requirements of cost nexus studies that need to happen.
Hearing no, Vice Chair Cowan. Sorry.
It's okay. I just wanted to make a comment. This is a really complicated situation. I want to thank you and staff for putting together an elegant solution. And I really appreciate you thinking about customer service too. I think that that's going to hopefully make this an easier transition for everyone. So thank you. And if no one else has any other questions, I would like to move to recommend that the City Council approve the First Amendment to the amended and restated agreement regarding the South Park County Sanitation District operations and transfer to the City of Santa Rosa.
Second.
Motion by Vice Chair Cowan, seconded by Board Member Grable to approve the recommendation and the resolution of item 7.1. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thanks for your hard work on this. Item number 8 is public comments on non-agenda matters. See no one rise. We have no referrals. We have one written communication. Any subcommittee reports? Any board member reports? Board Member Grable?
I think it was the last meeting. Can't remember how many meetings were canceled since then. But we moved to approve a budget item, hiring a consultant that was doing modeling and was studying the sort of viability and procedure for protecting the Llano treatment plant from flood protection, essentially, right? And in that process, it occurred to me that there is already a county model for a lot of those things in the entire Russian River watershed, including the Llano, the basin there where Llano is. And I'm not implying that it's completely redundant, but the woman who did the studies for the county is Lisa McKaylee, who's the CEO and president of Pepperwood Preserve. And I would like to look into agendizing a study session with her so that for the future, going forward, we can look at what has already been done. So we're not reinventing the wheel, and it might save a lot of money in the future, knowing that this data is already there. And some of her projections that the county uses are 50-year projections, based on her experience as a PhD hydrologist, and it's both hydrology and climatology, so it would look at climate change as well, and going forward, just to have that perspective on the board and look at what has already been done, so that we're obviously being responsible with ratepayer money and making sure that any redundancies could be avoided in the future. Again, not implying that this would have been one of them, but it raised a concern for me. And then after talking to her, I thought it would be really helpful. And so what I would like to do is start the process of talking to her about giving a presentation, specifically on the hydrological modeling that she's already done for the county. And I can talk to her a little bit more about what that would involve in terms of specialization and how it would be relevant to Santa Rosa Water and the Board of Public Utilities. But that is a process I would like to engage in, and I wanted to make sure that I was giving, obviously, adequate preparation and had board approval for this so that I could start talking to her about just availability, scheduling, subject matter, those sorts of things. But I didn't want to move forward with it until I had addressed the board.
So just to remind the board of the procedure that we would follow for this purpose, which is, I believe, a request from Board Member Grable to place an item on the agenda. We follow the same procedure as the City Council. Board members make requests, and if there's a second board member that supports the request, then we would put the item on for discussion purposes of scope and what that would look like going forward on the next available agenda, and then bring that back to the board, and then we would be following the Brown Act for purposes of having a more full discussion about what a future study session or what that item would look like. Staff would have a chance to understand the parameters, the board would have the chance to understand the parameters, and then a vote could be taken at that time.
And I'd be happy to second the request from Board Member Grable.
And in terms of which agenda it would apply to, thank you, Chairman Galvin, I would like to have a little bit of time to, so in terms of the next available agenda, I would like to sort of push it back toward November, December.
Okay, so just to clarify, so that we understand, we're not scheduling the study session. We're just scheduling
the discussion.
Okay, so you'd like the discussion. So I think you could probably work with the director and staff about when you would be prepared to have that item come forward, and we could probably work on that.
Perfect.
What I would recommend or add to it is appreciate the support. This is a challenging project, and I've had the opportunity to talk a bit to Board Member Grable on it. As a next step, what I would propose is for staff to meet with this subject matter expert to understand from staff's view the value this person could bring and what gaps this person could fill in the project potentially. And then at the scheduled discussion, we would bring that item, review a bit of the project, and share staff's perspective on from staff's view, the value of this person coming into the project and how we would potentially go about that. And then the board from that could move with staff's recommendation, or of course could go whatever direction that worked for the board. We would go from there if that would work for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Any other board member comments on that, or any other board member reports? Director's report?
Thank you, Chair Galvin. I do have a few quick items. First, I just wanted to add to a comment on the South Park item, in that, in my view, coming in midstream in the project, it really is what was notable work by staff navigating really a complex set of issues in a way that the timing worked and didn't hold up this important annexation for the city. It was really a great leadership by Deputy Director Burke and support by Ms. Dillon, in my view. We did want to share an item. In 2015, California enacted Senate Bill 555, which is the Urban Retail Water Suppliers Water Loss Management Act, which requires every urban water retail supplier to submit a completed and validated water loss audit report annually. And the first report was due this past October, this October 2017. The nature of the effort, it was quite an effort going into it. It was basically analogous to a financial accounting exercise, tracking all sources and uses of water within the system over a specified time period. The results of our water loss report was a score of 64 out of 100. And you may ask what that means, and I think no one in the state yet knows what that means. And the expectation is, as all agencies file their reports and we see cumulative scores, this will really be a work in progress to understand relative scoring and how to score higher and the like. We also identified our water loss, which is 6.67, which from my view, and I think other technical staff's view, is really a very good percentage. Of course, every drop is very valuable. I suspect we're going to see the average statewide to be notably higher, potentially in double digits, so it really does reflect on the work of our water loss team that we do have in water operations. So there'll be more to come with that, but we did want to share out of the gate the initial results. This on Friday evening, September 30th, and these things, as some folks here could attest, always tend to happen on Friday evenings. Our after-hours operator responded to a report of our water main break on Ridgeview Drive on the cross street of Rancho Corbeza Drive. It was an 8-inch cast iron main, had split, and the water supplies, the main supplies water to a city pressure regulating station that provided water to the Hidden Valley Drive neighborhood. And we got a good number of calls on low pressure water. And in a very short time, staff was out there, provided an alternative feed. And then our construction crews have since made the necessary repairs, and as of Tuesday the 3rd, the system is back to normal. So really good work from our field crews, as is typical. The field crews water operations has also completed this year's portion of smoke testing, which we do annually, and as the board knows, that can be useful identifying both major leaks in the sewer system and also illicit connections from roof leaders into the sewer system, and no major defects or findings. And lastly, just want to note that our city attorney, Ms. Dillon, will miss the next meeting. Congratulations on that. And Suzanne Rollins will be filling in.
Any questions for the director? Hearing none, we will be adjourned. See you all at the next meeting.